Welcome to Tea Talks, where young adult stories and church experience blend into a beautiful insight to inspire us. So grab your cup of tea, sit down, relax as we spill the tea. And today with me, I have here Rachel. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I am so happy you're here. So let's start with a little bit about you. Who is Rachel?
Well, I'm Rachel Cinquanto. I grew up in a small town in North Carolina. I'm 26 years old. I am a realtor. Me and my sister are a real estate team. It's really fun. I come from a pretty big family. I'm one of five. I grew up on a farm. So that's kind of a little bit about me.
Yes, that's wonderful. And being in the South in North Carolina, I am sure being a good neighbor is something important to you. So what does it mean to you, in your view, to be a best neighbor?
I think just being able to slow down and when you're in the South, people are more open to have conversations. So I think just being able to slow down and check up on, you know, maybe even someone at the grocery store, asking them how their day is, just being super intentional about that, I think can go a really long way.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this whole series is inspired in this book called Growing Young, where researchers from Fuller Institution decided to come together and figure out, okay, what are the churches that are thriving with young adults? What are they doing? Because the reality is we're losing most of our young adults. Once they graduate from high school, they're gone out of the church. And one of the characteristics of a church that were keeping young adults or attracting new young adults to church were churches that were best neighbors. They're taking care of not only inside, but also of their community. So that's why we're going to this topic. Can you share a specific instance where someone was a great neighbor to you?
I think that when I graduated or when I came out of college, I didn't have a lot of friends, so I didn't have much of a community. And I was going through a crossroads in a relationship. And I had someone that was part of my church community, but I wasn't super close to at the time, just noticed that I wasn't my best and took the time to just ask me what was going on and allowing me to open up and asking thought-provoking questions, being really, really genuine and showing me that they care, even though I didn't know that person necessarily cared about me that much, but just being really genuine and having my back. And I didn't even know that person had my back, but you know, knowing that really, really was special.
How did that make you feel? How did that impact you?
It made me think about how I treat others. It made me think about, am I slowing down and reaching out to others the way I should be? It also helped me feel more important than I guess I thought I was, you know. But it did. It made me think maybe I need to take a step back and step outside of myself and, you know, take some time to just ask people how they're doing, notice how they're doing.
So you felt like you matter.
Yeah.
Because somebody cared for you. That's powerful. Have you faced any challenges or difficulties trying to be a good neighbor?
I mean, there's the one side of it. Sometimes you just don't click with someone. And that's hard within itself, is to put that aside. But also, I think in our day-to-day lives, we are so consumed by our own stuff. Are things that are going on at work, things that are, you know, going on in your home life and your family relationships that you don't even take a second to maybe even say hello to somebody. I think that's the biggest challenge for me sometimes. I get so caught up and consumed in my day-to-day that I don't slow down and check up on the lady at the grocery store and even ask her how she's doing, or a friend, you know, and asking them how they're doing, noticing. I think that's my biggest challenge, is sometimes stepping outside of my own stuff.
And if we're honest, I think that's what happened with all of us. You know, it's we get so consumed with our own things that it's hard for us to look around. But as a Christian, as Christians, you know, how do you think we can overcome those difficulties?
I think that I think it's more simple than we might think it is. I think that we just need to keep it top of mind. Every day, a lot of times I'll ask the Lord to, put someone in front of me that, He wants me to impress. I think that should be one of our daily thoughts. How can I bless someone today? How can I make someone's day better? I think that's like the easiest way to simplify it. I mean, even just like a simple hello, a smile, or a small act of kindness, I think can go a long way. But keeping that top of mind, because I think you'll get a major blessing, and the more you do it, I think the better you get at it.
Be intentional.
Yes.
Put that as a priority. Just remember, God wants us to be good neighbors. He wants us to reach out and make a difference in the community.
Yeah.
And it's hard for all of us. We get into our daily life and we're so busy. I think this generation is one of the busiest generations that have ever existed. And if we don't make as a priority, we're just not going to remember.
Yeah.
It's not even because we don't care. It's just
Yeah.
because we don't remember. How has being a good neighbor, how do you see that positive influencing your sense of belonging within your own community?
I think what you put in is what you'll get out. So if you involve yourself more and put yourself into it more, I feel like you'll feel more of a belonging. I think that it's really important to, sometimes you always focus on what am I getting out of it, and you're always focusing on self. But I feel like if you focus on other people, I think then in turn you'll be satisfied in that way.
It's going to give you a feeling of fulfillment.
Yeah.
God put this thing in us that it helps us feel better about ourselves and gives us that positive feeling, when we help other people. Usually when we help other people, we're the ones being helped as well.
Yeah.
How can you see we as a church becoming best neighbors?
I think that slowing down is the best thing that we could do. Slow down, say hello to someone, even if they may not be someone new. You may have not even spoke to them. Slowing down and being intentional in church instead of just getting in there and getting out of there. I think that loving others and accepting them where they are and being very, open and vulnerable with them will allow that space to happen.
How do you see a church that could be more open and be more friendly? How do you see that affecting the neighbors, like the community?
I think that if there was a space that was created that was more friendly and open, it would be easier for someone like me to invite someone from work or invite a friend or invite someone random if the conversation went that way. I think I think church members in general and a lot of young people would include their day-to-day people that they encounter in church if they felt like it was a really warm and inviting place. They'd be proud to bring them there. So I feel like.
So do you feel like that's one of the challenges that young adults have today?
Yeah.
That tell me more about that.
I mean, I think that it's hard for me to want to invite someone if I feel like they're going to be judged because they're not perfect. And that is what stops me from inviting people, because it's not going to be a perfect space no matter what. But the best thing we can do is make sure it's a friendly environment. And I think that's what stops me, and I think is what stops a lot of people from inviting people. They're afraid that they'll have a negative taste in their mouth about what church is and what a Christian community is about.
Why do you think that, because you have this feeling where, hey, I'm kind of embarrassed of my church and I don't want to bring somebody from the outside. Why do you feel like you stay at the church if you feel this way?
Because I see a light at the end of the tunnel and I see my future there. I want to bring, I want that to be for my children as well and my community. So I want that to change. And if I don't take action, who will? I'm not going to sit back. I want to make sure that it is a place that anybody can come. I just don't want to sit back. That's just not who I want to be.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you saying all of this, because unfortunately what you're telling me is the reality, because That's why the research showed that once they graduate from high school, within a year, they're gone. So things need to be changed so we don't lose them anymore. And that's why we're creating this space here. So just one last question. For that young person that is struggling, what would you say?
I would say not to take everything to heart. Don't overthink it. It might not be, the church might not be the best place at this time, but to be an example and create the change. Don't sit back. Show them how to treat other people.
Yeah, because if they all leave, how are we going to change?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's the whole reason why we're creating this, so we can start a dialogue. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. I am so happy we had this time to talk, and I hope we can do this another time. And thank you for joining Tea Talks. Keep stirring up the conversations and embracing the beautiful and the messiness of life. And until next time.